What's going on, everybody? UnrealEntGaming here today presenting my movie review for Paranormal Activity, the Marked Ones. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this video will contain spoilers to the film, so if you don't want to hear anything that happens within the film, please turn this video off. Just a quick little heads up before you guys get into the video. Now, to begin this video, guys, this is the 5th installment to the Paranormal Activity franchise. We have Paranormal Activity 1, 2, 3, 4, and now the Marked Ones. Now, the Marked Ones, ladies and gentlemen, is considered a spin-off. Now, the reason behind the making of Paranormal Activity, the Marked Ones, especially having a Latino American background, sort of say, was because Paranormal Activity as a whole has a huge following, especially involving Latino Americans. So pretty much paying homage to those Latino fans, they decided to create a spin-off, which is Paranormal Activity, the Marked Ones. Now, ladies and gentlemen, going into this film, I really hope that you guys don't expect a lot, especially coming from Paranormal Activity. Now, I am a huge Paranormal Activity fan, but as of late, the Paranormal Activity franchise has diminished my interest a lot, actually, especially coming out of the 4th one. I think Paranormal Activity 4 was a horrible movie, but coming out of Paranormal Activity, the Marked Ones, I was very satisfied. Now, pretty much to sum up the beginning of the movie is mostly comedy driven, typical teenage stuff. Pretty much the main character and his friends and whatnot just graduated high school and they're celebrating with their friends and family and whatnot. So pretty much following that, we've come to learn that there is a witch that lives directly one apartment below them in apartment 23 by the name of Anna. Now, being that, you know, you're young, you're a teenager, you want to do some exploring and whatnot, the main characters decided to get a GoPro camera and just completely disregarding their friends and family, having to tell them that, you know, there was some weird noises coming from that apartment, you know, some very strange sounds, you know, from late at night, 12 in the morning, 3 in the morning and whatnot, moans and whatnot. The boys decide to take the GoPro camera and attach it to a rope and pretty much lower it down a little vent. From then on in, you see some stuff happening with that woman, Anna. A couple of days later, she was killed by a boy named Oscar, whatnot. So pretty much following up from the story, the beginning is a lot of comedy, guys. I'm telling you right now. I mean, you're not going to expect much, but just expect the story to just roll on forward, especially from the beginning. You learn about the characters. You learn about this boy named Oscar. You learn about, you know, who Anna was and what she has done and what she's been doing in her apartment. So pretty much following that, we've come to know that Anna was definitely practicing satanic rituals in her apartment, along with hexes and other witchcraft sorcery in her apartment, and one of them having to involve the main character. Now, as the story goes on forward, we've come to know that there is a specific coven that relates to the 3rd film, to the 2nd film, and to the 1st film, and pretty much the reason why this entity or demon is following the main character is because pretty much in the world of, you know, witchcraft and Satanism, if a witch is able to pretty much cast a spell and give up the firstborn male of the family to Satan, they will be rewarded with specific things from doing that deed. So pretty much as the story goes on to follow, they pretty much learned that one of the boys named Oscar approached the main character, and he pretty much gave him a little warning saying, you know, there's more like us, you have to kill yourself, you know, otherwise they're going to perform the final ritual, whatnot. So as the story goes on, Oscar dies, and they pretty much go on ahead and go to Oscar's family's house to ask what happened and has he been showing any signs of any weird stuff. So pretty much Oscar has a brother who was a OG gangster of his territory and whatnot, so he pretty much took the characters in his room and he showed the characters along with everybody else what Oscar was experiencing his final days, especially in his room by himself. He had these pictures and he had like these posters and newspaper articles of missing children. They were all boys. They were all boys, and pretty much we've come across an article which relates to Paranormal Activity 2. We can see Allie, and on the picture with Allie, it said that there was a little boy named Hunter and he was missing. So pretty much what happened was They snatched the paper which contained Allie's number, and they pretty much gave her a call. So now we have the return of the main character from the second film, Allie, and she pretty much explains what's been going on because ever since Katie killed her mother, Christy, she's been doing extensive research on everything that's been happening in her house. So there you go. Paranormal Activity 2 definitely has a tie-in on what happened with Allie, because after Paranormal Activity 2, it appears that Allie, over the years, has done her research, has been deeply involved with trying to find out what the hell's been going on in her house. So she pretty much comes up with some evidence explaining what's been going on, tying into Christy and Katie. She pretty much told a story similar to what happened with them and their family, and she pretty much said that there is a coven. There is a coven of witches that exists, and they possibly dwell within one location, and she gave away that location, and pretty much everything that's been going on with the main character has something to do with a final ritual. She also goes on to explain that they're building an army, sort of say. Not really a militant style army, but they're pretty much recruiting people, they're kidnapping people, they're putting spells on people, they're just doing horrific stuff to people, you know, relevating to the Salem witch trials back in the day when people were accusing people of being witches. So within that very town, you don't know who's a part of this and who's not. So it's very dark at this point. So pretty much as the story goes on forward, guys, I mean, it gets really good after that. I'm really not going to go too much into what really happens, but the ending of the movie is very interesting. Now, also, a lot of people have mentioned that there is time travel involved. No, if you believe that there is time travel involved, you are completely stupid. There is no time travel in this movie, but what happened was, if you paid attention during the film, you would know that whatever happened in the end, which involved Hector, the main character's best friend, did not involve time travel. There is a specific door that they have discovered and read that involves, you know, a satanic coven that pretty much takes you to an unholy place. Whenever you step through that door, it will take you to an unholy place. It won't take you back to Jurassic Park. It won't take you back to World War II. It will take you back to an unholy territory. And what they meant by that was whatever is unholy within that place involves a satanic entity, a demonic entity. So pretty much, guys, the ending of the film is epic because they brought you back to the very house of the third film. If you guys saw Paranormal Activity 3, the ending of Paranormal Activity 3 specifically, the house that they were in was resurrected, and pretty much the ending of this film took place in the ending of Paranormal Activity 3. They were in that same location. There were shots fired. There was one character in particular that shot two witches with a shotgun because they came running at him with knives or whatever, you know, roaring like demons. And then you had the entire coven of witches emerge. As everybody's scrambling around the house, as everybody's scrambling around the property, it's dark. You have objects just being thrown all over the place. There was one specific scene where you saw the grandmother of Katie and Christy emerge. She must be like the head witch of those witches, because as Hector turned his camera in his head, you saw the witch just standing there uttering some words at him right before she grabbed him, but she missed. This kid is running around the entire house. There are shots being fired. People are just dying left and right. As he goes on to open up the front door, you see Hunter standing there with somebody. It looked like it was Katie or somebody, and then he shuts the door. He's running around the house. You know, be that as it may, the main character, who's now possessed, is chasing his best friend. All hell breaks loose, guys. I mean, you get to see more of the house from the third film, going back to 1988. And going back to what I said about that door, the unholy door, there was one specific scene where Hector, you know, the main character's best friend, had no way out of the house. It was either he dies by these witches and by these demons, or he can just step through that door, and he had no idea what this door was or where it led. But the moment he stepped through that door, everything started shaking. I mean, just a whole bunch of screams and whatnot. And then when the camera turned back on, we see Hector in a very familiar location, and when he opened up the garage door, Hector is now in this very house of Katie and Mika. He is now back in Paranormal Activity 1. And here's the best part. Do you guys remember in Paranormal Activity 1 when Katie was walking down the stairs in the end, and when we heard her scream, Mika ran downstairs, but we didn't know what was going on? They will explain and they will show you what really happened. This kid Hector was watching Katie as she was going down the stairs, reaching for the knife. As he went up to Katie, begging her for help, Katie turned around, looked at him, and she began to scream. She began to scream, "Mika! Mika! Come down, help!" She started screaming, and it was very similar to the Paranormal Activity 1 because it was exactly what happened. Mika came running downstairs. Mika saw the cameraman because obviously Mika's thinking that this is a break-in. Mika tries to grab Hector to kick him out the house or whatever. Katie then turns Mika around, starts stabbing him repeatedly in the stomach, making this satanic growl. Hector, watching this unfold, he begins to run back to where he came from in the garage door, and who do we have standing there just completely in demonic form, who just charges him, by the way, was his best friend, the main character. He just completely charges at him. His face is all, you know, deformed, fangs, just unholy stuff going on. And pretty much, guys, in my opinion, this is definitely way better than Paranormal Activity 4. I would have to say that this is way better than Paranormal Activity 3 as well. Like I said, guys, the beginning is very slow paced. You have to keep it slow paced because you have to explain the story. Why would you start off a movie and not elaborate the story? So I think in terms of story, this movie told the best story. I think this is the best. The story was absolutely amazing. Granted, there were some problems I had with the film. Number one, why were they holding a camera the entire time without explaining why they were filming everything? At least in Paranormal Activity 1, we came to the understanding that the only reason Mika was filming everything was because he wanted to prove Katie wrong, whereas opposed to the other films, they never really touched that subject. So if I had to give Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, a rating between 1 and 5 stars, I would give this movie a solid 4-star movie. The reason why I would not give this movie a 4.5 or a 5, because they were missing a few elements. The movie felt short, which pretty much pissed me off, because why would you go into this film, or these films in particular, and just having to sit there for only an hour, you know, explain more? So I feel like the length could have been a lot better. They could have made it an hour and a half at least, but they didn't do that, in my opinion. It felt really, really short. Number 2 was the fact that they never told us why they were filming everything, you know? All we did was just come across characters with the camera, and that was pretty much it. Number 3 was because there was a lot of comedy in the beginning. In the beginning of the film, I thought that we weren't even watching a Paranormal Activity film. I thought that we were watching something like Chronicle. You know, there was a lot of comedy in this film, a lot of comedy. Number 4, as the main character became immune to his little powers or whatever, every time he wanted to do something insane, you know, he was prevented from getting hurt, which, you know, was for the obvious, because I'm guessing the demon did not want the kid to get hurt before the ritual, but we didn't know that, you know. There were only a few people in that audience that really paid attention, whereas opposed to everybody else just goes to see the film to get scared. You cannot do that. You cannot go into films like this expecting to be scared. You can't expect much from films, because when you have high expectations for films, you're going to be disappointed. So don't go into this film with any expectations. So I would give this movie a 4 out of 5 in terms of the Paranormal Activity franchise. This has been possibly the best Paranormal Activity franchise since the first one. So if I had to bump heads, I would have to compete Paranormal Activity 1 with the marked ones, because those two films are by far the best. 3 was alright, 4 was the worst, 2 was good. So there you guys have it, guys. 4 out of 5 stars. I would recommend Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, only if you have watched the other films and you've paid attention. If you paid attention and you know about the coven, you know about the witches, you know about the story, you know about the books, the circles, the triangles, the Illuminati references, the witchcraft stuff, you are going to like this film. So I really hope you guys enjoyed the review. Thank you all for watching, everybody. This has been UnrealEnt Gaming. I hope you all enjoyed. If you guys are horror fans, if you guys are movie fans, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for all the latest news, information, updates. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit it up with a like and a favor. Rate that thumbs up button, guys. Another Paranormal Activity film is headed our way for Halloween of this year. Paranormal Activity 5. Even though this is the 5th installment, this is still a spin-off, so if you want to consider the next one to be the 6th one, so be it. But we have another Paranormal Activity movie coming out in October. So I hope you all enjoyed, guys. More movie reviews headed your way. I hope you all enjoyed. I'll be seeing you all later. Peace.